Happy Monday, fight fans. It's the DAZN Boxing Show. I go by the name of Vak.
And I'm Barack the Boxing Bully.
And I'm feeling phenomenal. It's fight week. That's right. Canelo's fighting this weekend, but there's so much to talk about still regarding Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia here on the opening bell. And Barack, when I say much to talk about, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those numbers that everybody was waiting on. Now, even on the night of the fight in Las Vegas, Barack, I was hearing whispers from the DAZN execs, from other people, how they were pouring in. The pay-per-view sales were pouring in. Even before the fight started, before the card started, before the main event started, numbers pouring in overwhelmingly, considering the era that we live in, the piracy era. Not that there wasn't piracy back then, but it's not what it is now. So there are reports that say the fight sold 1.2 million. There are other reports that say the fight sold 1.4 million, and the gate $22.8 million. Barack, is it safe to say that this was a huge success?
100%. And it's not like this fight didn't get pirated. It's just that more people bought. So maybe if more people watched. So if 5 million people watched it, we see the 20% that actually paid for it, you know? So yes, this is a big fight. And this is what happens when two people who transcend the sport fight each other. Now, I see a lot of people talking about, oh, big time. Well, I'm probably the one that's been saying big time boxing is back, but that doesn't mean I'm saying the best fighters are fighting the best. Yes, I do feel like sometimes the best fighters are fighting the best, but that's not always what brings back big time boxing. So if we get another fight and it's the best fighting the best, that doesn't mean we're gonna see a result like that. This is popular fighting popular. Somebody who is popular outside of the sport fighting another fighter who's popular outside of the sport, and that hardly ever happens, but that's what you get, and that's a recipe for big time boxing.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. And one of the things I want to touch on that I kind of spoke about it this weekend was who's getting credit for this pay-per-view, right? Because there are a lot of people saying that Tank is a pay-per-view star. Look at the numbers that he did. And it's safe to say that Ryan hasn't proven anything till this point, right? The track record, he doesn't have a track record for pay-per-view, only this fight. Tank does have a track record for pay-per-view, but not overwhelmingly successful. I mean, I would say 275, which is his highest before the Ryan Garcia fight, was against Rolly Romero. And that fight, to me, was very popular. It kind of transcended boxing to some degree, because even my daughter mentioned that fight, wanting to watch that fight. I expected that fight to do a little bit more, but 275 is still successful in this era of piracy. Still a good number. That's still at $80. That's still generating a lot of money, right? For a Romero a Rolly against Tank fight. So you have to obviously say to yourself, Ryan Garcia is a huge part of why this fight did 1.4. But no, if he goes out and does a pay-per-view on his own, it probably won't do big numbers. We don't know if it would do 275 like Tank did with Rolly. We're not sure. There's no track record of that. So both of these guys needed each other to get to 1.2 or 1.4. There's no question about it. So let's call both of them together pay-per-view stars. Let's say if Ryan and Tank fight, they're pay-per-view stars, but not necessarily if they're alone.
Well, see, first of all, we got to say, what is the benchmark for being called a pay-per-view star? Because the people who were calling Tank a pay-per-view star were his promoters. That's it. Right. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm talking about social media after the fight, because
no, I get it, but I'm just saying that to start with. See, the thing is, you keep feeding the public the word so that people accept it later on. It's like Muhammad Ali was calling himself great before he even proved it. He was calling himself the greatest. So after a while, it's like, yeah, he's the greatest until he proved it. Now, Tank right here hasn't proved that he was a pay-per-view star beforehand, unless you want to call 200,000, 100,000, 275, 215. Unless you want to call that a pay-per-view star, fine. But to say that he carried this, or to even say that Ryan carried this, would be kind of crazy because there's no way to know. But we can assume, an intelligent assumption is they needed each other to get this 1.2 or 1.4 million, and that's it. And we can also know for facts, Tank didn't do nowhere near this without Ryan. And maybe Ryan won't do nowhere near that without Tank.
And when you say nowhere near, we're talking 1 million pay-per-view sales.
The same thing with Floyd. There really was no one who can sell a pay-per-view over 1 million by themselves. That person doesn't exist. He's never, maybe before Piracy.
Canelo did. I mean, yeah, maybe not 1 million, but close to it.
Well, then I'm correct. Then I'm correct.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? There's nobody that can do that. You know, and even the Romero fight.
No, I don't know why I was thinking 100,000. That's why.
Exactly.
You said
the Romero fight was only popular to the boxing world for Romero because we seen the kind of person he was, and we wanted to see him lose because he talked so much crap.
Wait, I'm sorry, Barack.
But
did Floyd ever do 1 million by himself?
No one does 1 million by themselves.
Oh, I thought that's what you said.
No one does 1 million by themselves. Yo, Floyd did 500 or something with Berto because
No.
He's not
400.
Whatever.
400.
He's not Pacquiao. It's always lower than what they report. But he's not Pacquiao. He's not Canelo. He's not Oscar De La Hoya. And this is the thing. The person who wins usually gets the credit for the pay-per-view. It was Floyd versus Oscar De La Hoya. That was really Oscar De La Hoya's pay-per-view.
Right.
You understand? But who walks around with the credit now? Floyd gets the credit sort of because he was part of it, first of all, and he won. So this was expected that people were going to say that about Gervonta Davis, but we know if his next opponent is somebody other than maybe Devin Haney or Loma or maybe somebody like Shakur Stevenson, we're not going to see numbers close to that.
Yeah, I mean, another thing people were talking about was the gate.
And maybe if he fights any of those guys, it might be lower because of the star power of mine.
You're right. Now, another thing that people are relating his success, or calling him a pay-per-view star, is his gate, right? It's not his gate. Obviously, this was Ryan Tank's gate. No, at all. And that's why I want to bring that up right now, because in my opinion, there's a certain group of people I like to call it my culture, part of my culture, that they want to go out and they want to go get their best fits, their best drip to come out to an event. It's like they're going to a concert, they're going to a club. I got to get the best drip because everybody's going to see me and I'm going to post on social media. I'm going to this fight.
Let me tell you how crazy this is real quick. Let me interrupt. I'm sorry. I went to go return a shirt in New Jersey the other day. And I promise you, the salesperson, older lady, said, "Oh, did you go to the fight?" Because I said I was in Vegas.
Yeah.
I said, I was in Vegas. I bought some pieces, but I didn't wear everything. She said, "Oh, did you go to the fight?" And I said, well, how did you know about the fight? She said, "A lot of people came here to buy before they went to the fight."
Yep. I mean, that's the same thing I experienced.
Tank brings them out. No doubt.
I mean, I experienced the same thing in Atlanta at the Lenox Mall, at the Bloomingdale's and the Neiman Marcus, because it's a thing, right, for them to go out. But I was saying before you rudely interrupted me that those same people, right, that same culture, because I've seen it with my own eyes, will pirate the fight and not pay for it. They will spend $5,000 for tickets, hotel.
So you're talking about yourself.
I'm talking about I will no longer do that since being in the boxing business, but they won't pirate. So because you go to a fight and spend money and the gate does well, doesn't mean that you're a pay-per-view star. Those are two different things. So let me make this clear, folks, so you can listen. Doing well at the gate does not make you a pay-per-view star. That's a certain crowd that wants to come out to an event and dress their finest, but But it doesn't mean that same crowd, when they're back home, they're going to order and pay $80 for the fight. Most of those people, or a lot of those people, will pirate and steal the fight. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, and it depends on where you fight too. It just so happens that Gervonta Davis, he's one of the gate leaders. He can go anywhere and sell out a place.
It's unquestionable how well he does in a gate, and I don't think anybody in boxing right now does a better gate than Gervonta Davis, regardless of who he's fighting.
Right, but we're really going to see how much of a pay-per-view star Tank really is. I know this has made him a bigger one. You know, this has made his celebrity
stock
even bigger.
Up. Absolutely.
Fighting somebody that's as popular.
But my question is, what has it done for Ryan Garcia? I mean, look, he won rounds in that fight. He was dangerous in that fight to the point where he lost in the 7th round. So there's a certain level of respect that we have to have for Ryan for actually making this fight happen. And I've been saying it, I said it last week. Had he not agreed to those stern terms, this fight would have never happened. So credit has to be done for him. Given to him for that. I would like to see what he does moving forward and how his pay-per-view sales, should he fight a pay-per-view moving forward with a bigger name, how they do. So a lot of questions to be answered, a lot of great fights to be made in the lightweight division. Barack, speaking of lightweight division this weekend over here at DAZN, Cepeda wins big in the 2nd round. How does he fare in this stacked division?
That's a good question, man. And yeah, he looks good against Arboleda, but man, this division is like we always say, the best division in boxing right now, as long as people stay, because we done lost Teofimo already. You know, he done went up to 140. So as long as people stay, it's kind of hard for any of these newcomers to come in and say, oh, yeah, he's going to look good against a Devin Haney. He's going to look good against
I mean, I think there are a lot of fighters. He's going to look good against
Loma.
But I think there are a lot of fighters in the lightweight division on the cusp that we could compare him to. Or we couldn't say, hey, how does he do against Frank Martin? Right, exactly.
Even they look elite. You know, Frank Martin looks elite. Keyshawn Davis look elite. But he's going to be talked about in those classes, and maybe they will end up clashing eventually. Right. So yeah, he deserves it. That's for sure. He deserves it. Jojo Diaz just won Saturday night. He definitely deserves a shot.
This division there has the most talented fighters in the sport. There are a lot of other, I mean, obviously the welterweight division has talented fighters. All the division, I'm talking about the amount of fighters that can fight in a division. You got to say that the lightweight division takes it by storm. Boxing is in a great place. Safe to say that, right? That's our show for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Peace and love. Stay safe. We're out of here.
Introducing the new DAZN Boxing Show podcast. No matter the time or the place, getting your boxing content has become easier than ever. Tune in as we give you exclusive insights, predictions, fight night recaps, and more alongside the biggest names in the game. All for free. Available globally every Thursday across all audio streaming platforms and with new episodes dropping weekly to give you the latest news. Just type in the DAZN Boxing Show podcast, listen in, and enjoy.